friends. Welcome and welcome back to Insightful Healing. I am Amira. Thank you so much for joining. I am really missing going live, which is not something I would have expected to say out loud. That would come from my brain, body, and mouth. Okay, this could be something that you're experiencing right now, not specifically my experience, but feeling something that you didn't expect you would feel, thinking something you didn't expect you would think, or saying something you did not expect you would say. So I didn't expect that. I really didn't, though. When I reflect back on where I was 1, 2, 3, 4 many years ago now, when I first started recording on YouTube in a different way. For those of you who are curious or were already curious without this prompting, you may have already scrolled back to the very beginnings and saw that when I was significantly younger, and I really truly established this channel, I first was just singing my heart out, doing song covers. They're not great, obviously, but nothing's perfect either, right? And at that time, and it's so interesting, as I'm saying this out loud, I'm right now in this moment realizing that I was on camera back then as well. But something was different about it. Something about it felt more natural. Something about it felt like I was doing it more so for me, as opposed to doing it for an audience or doing it for a particular result. There were less expectations attached to me listening to music and singing my rendition or the artist's rendition of it. Music is one of my first loves, and so in doing what I loved, there was less pressure attached and involved. Now when I look back, I'm saying, it wasn't the best. I'm giving you that disclaimer, if you will, but in a nutshell, when I was there, I was behind the camera then, but it felt different. Something about it felt different. And I think when I stepped into, using Oracle, using Tarot, stepping into my intuitive gifts specifically, it was a bit more of imposter syndrome that I was experiencing that perhaps made it more challenging, right? And when we're in imposter syndrome, we're kind of performing, right? We're performing more so for the audience, for, if this is a work situation, we're performing for the people who are literally evaluating us, but it's this sense of I'm being evaluated on my output, and so I'm hearing freshen up, okay? Let me freshen up, okay? Freshen up on your skills. This could also be your hygiene, but hygiene goes many different ways. There's different types of hygiene. I'm getting spiritual hygiene, something about your spiritual hygiene. Yeah, but I did need to freshen up on my spiritual hygiene, right? I had to learn what it meant to set spiritual boundaries back then in a different way. And I think now when I find myself in front of the camera, so to speak, it just feels different. And I enjoyed my time going live with you guys. I'm so grateful for the audience that came through. I'm so grateful for the people who resonated. I'm so grateful for the people who supported when the trolls were trolling. I'm grateful for the trolls too. Do your thing. You have a place in the world, I suppose, right? But it felt different because my spiritual hygiene was different. I was taking care of myself spiritually in a different way, especially if we think back to how I was taking care of myself spiritually in 2021 compared to now in 2026, we're talking about a 5-year difference, right? A lot of things have occurred, a lot of cycles have begun, end, and flipped on their heads all over again. And so now we come back to this place of, I didn't expect to be here. I didn't expect to say out loud that I miss being in front of the camera live with people watching me and actively able to critique me live. You know, it's definitely not for everybody. It's not something that I will be able to do every day like I was previously. I told you guys before, things are changing. But I do definitely hope to get back to it and you know, fit them in when I can. Interesting. So this may be something that you're experiencing in your personal life, your professional life, your relationships, all right? Maybe your spiritual evolution, all right? Imposter syndrome, performing. Although I'm hearing just heard the beginning of Yeba, My Mind, just the keys, or is it keys or guitar? I think it's keys. I'm not sure, but I just heard the beginning of that song. Beautiful, beautiful song. She's talking about how it starts, I heard you coming at 3:15. You closed the door and lay down next to me. But then I heard you say her name in your sleep. Your dirty secrets too far gone to keep. And I'm about to lose my I'm about to lose my mind, my mind. Think about you all the time. So she goes on in that song, beautiful, beautiful artistry. And I think the song itself is about 6 minutes or so. There's something significant about the words, the lyrics. I also would urge you to watch her sing it, and so that you can connect, again, spiritually and feel the emotion that vibrates through the depth of the words. But essentially she's talking about this relationship that she's stuck on, can't let go of, knowing that it's not good for her, knowing that it's not a safe space for her emotionally, but remaining. Okay, again, back to this imposter syndrome and performing. Maybe you didn't expect to be here at this place in this partnership, okay, whatever kind of relationship that is. All right, what I was going to say before that song came through, although I'm not on live, I would like to initiate some grounding, all right, that we can do together. Typically, I just do deep breaths as the air kicks on. I think I'll take us through a body scan, actually. I actually was talking about body scans earlier today with someone, suggesting it to them. So, you know, practice what you preach, right, is what they say, whoever they is. And so if you are open to trusting me in that space, I welcome you. And if you feel safe enough, you can lie down or sit down or make yourself comfortable in whatever position feels good for you, and close your eyes when you're ready. And just settling into your space, breathing deeply to reset your nervous system. Just a few times. A few deep breaths to reset, restabilize, and return to self. And as you return back to your natural breathing rhythm, I'd like you to call attention to your headspace, the top of your head, the crown of your head. Just noticing if anything feels tense, tight, or calling attention. And continuing to bring your awareness down through your eyes, noticing if your eyelids feel heavy, your nose, your mouth, your throat, your jaw, especially. That's one of the places that we often hold tension without knowing it. And just gently relaxing those spaces if they're calling for you to do so. Continuing down past your shoulders and your chest, down each arm, biceps, forearms, your hands and your fingers. Calling attention to that heart space as you scan through and connecting with you. Making your way down through the solar plexus near the belly button and your sacral chakra, where we hold deep emotions, deep needs, deep desires. Continuing down through your hips, noticing again if there's any tension or pain in these areas, your lower back. And down past your buttocks, your thighs, your knees, which hold you up without asking for anything back. Down through your calves, your ankles, which support the weight of your body. And down through your feet, and finally your toes. And coming back to the breath, I'm gonna breathe in deeply and exhale what we don't need. And when you're ready, just begin to wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, blink your eyes open, and knowing that you are safe, reminding yourself that your body is supported. We can now begin anew. I think that's an important skill, if you will, but especially when we're touching on to the idea of imposter syndrome, and I didn't expect this. That sentence of, am I in my body? Is this really my life? I know I'm not the only one who has looked around at multiple times throughout life and said, how did I get here? How exactly did I get here? I don't remember making the decisions, poor, positive, or otherwise, to be where I currently am. And so that sort of reminds us how we physically feel, how we emotionally feel, how we feel spiritually, right? In our bodies at this time. And it reminds us that we're safe. Sense of Self Oracle deck, my baby. Available on my website if you're interested, intrigued, or you want to purchase this as a gift for someone else. Let us see. What's the important messages here, Spirit, for the collective? Session 64. Session 64. Yeah. I certainly didn't expect to be at session 64 with the Sense of Self Oracle deck really in my hands. Goodness gracious. It is what I prepared myself for. It's what I created. But this sort of reminds me of a recent session where I was talking about, like, are you really ready for what you're manifesting? We also talked recently, I heard is July through September, August in particular, which is between those two, is a very good month for manifesting. But there's the question right there. What parts of me are not yet ready for what I'm manifesting? That was session 62 for those of you who missed it. Okay, it talked about gaining strength on a solo journey. Gaining strength on a solo journey. All right, Spirit, what's the relevant message here for session 64? I just heard pillow talk. Okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure. Pillow talk is like, reminds me of a nightcap, but those are two different things. But essentially, it's like unpacking something at the end of the night. I mean, pillow talk is meant to be, I don't know, seductive. It's meant to create inspiration. It's meant to enhance the energy. It's meant to create and empower connection. All right, you may need to, I'm hearing get real. You may need to be intentional about how you're connecting with people or this particular person. Maybe you feel like you're communicating, but it's in passing, right? Especially if this is an in-house relationship, I want to call it, right? Like you maybe you do communicate with that person every day by saying good morning or asking them how their day was, but pillow talk is something and this doesn't have to be a romantic or sexually based relationship. It's just a matter of how intentional you are about that communication. You know, especially when we're talking about imposter syndrome, like I keep seeing the hermit and someone who is sort of cloaked, right? Someone who is cloaked, not only are they protected, so that's important, you need to know that you are protected here in whatever it is that you're performing, but also practice makes perfect in that space. You know, we may not feel like we deserve to be there or we belong there, but there are parts of you that asked to be here, for starters. There are parts of you that deserve to be here spiritually along the journey, maybe for you or other people that are involved. But in addition to that, there are also parts of you that are not being spoken about, right? Maybe those fears, those insecurities, those, I'm hearing ailments, okay? Some kind of like, somebody may be unwell in some way, one way or another. All right, this could be, I feel like I'm seeing it as like a mental health dysfunction or diagnosis, if you will. Okay, I feel like though there are things that aren't being expressed. I mean, if you don't feel like you can express those things within that dynamic, within that relationship, maybe it's not the best place, especially if this is like a parent-child kind of scenario, right? Everything's not for everybody, and you have to express in the best way, or in the most emotionally intelligent way, I will say. Then maybe that means you need to seek out support, right? Seek out a professional, seek out a coach, a therapist, a psychiatrist, whatever it is that's best for you. We have keep pushing until you reach the top, no matter the obstacles. Card number 15, which inherently reduces to a 6. And 6s are about calmer waters. They're about going to a place of balance. 15 in the tarot, however, is the devil card, right? And the devil is within all of us. It's a mindset. It's a blurry lens is kind of how I'm seeing it. Okay, maybe that blurry lens for you versus that blurry lens for somebody else varies, but we all have our things. This could be an inner voice where you call yourself names or just don't say very positive things about yourself. This could be someone who deals with depression, whether seasonally or in this season currently, or at a low rate ongoing, which is also a diagnosis. It could be substances of some sort, right? Sugar, drugs, alcohol, things of that sort. It could be people, even toxic people that are in your life or in your family that impact your mindset and your being and your responsibilities in such a way. But I feel like it's not being expressed. It's not. And it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't have to be expressed verbally or in a particular relationship, but somehow it needs expression. Okay, something needs expression. Okay, this is gonna get weird, but I have to say it because because this is what I'm getting. For somebody, this may be like you need to cleanse. Maybe you need to do a colon cleanse, or you're literally having like a bowel obstruction is what I'm getting, or like gastrointestinal dysfunction or challenges. But I was getting like, I think it's called expression of the anal glands. Is that what they do for dogs? Okay. Now I have to look it up, like why they do it, or where's my cellular device? Oh. Anal gland expression. The process of emptying small scent sacs located near a dog or cat's anus. So it's dogs or cats. If they do not empty, so normally pets empty these glands during natural bowel movement. If they don't empty, manual expression may be needed to relieve discomfort, scooting, or potential infections. Okay, and then it gives signs for problematic glands. I mean, there's no dogs or cats on the channel unless you identify as that, then I don't know, whatever. But, you know, the signs and symptoms are obviously going to be different for each of you, and the practical example of this is going to be different for each of you if it resonates with you at all. You know, this may be for a small number of folks or just one. I have no idea, but I feel like something needs to be expressed, and maybe it's like if it doesn't get expressed naturally, then you need to do it the unnatural way. That may feel gross, it may feel uncomfortable, it may feel unusual, it may feel like super intimate as well, like to have someone else express your like a dog or a cat can't reach back and do that on their own. You know, so they scoot on the carpet and they wind up with an infection because they're trying to resolve it on their own, but really they're just making it worse. Okay, whatever it is that you've been whatever you've been doing, I'm getting like, you know, people self-medicate with drugs and alcohol in particular. One that is specifically coming to mind is bipolar disorder. Okay, bipolar disorder is often self-medicated with alcohol, and drugs as well, but often alcohol. I don't know why, but for some reason it just is. All right, and it's like, yes, but it's a temporary fix. That is the devil. That is instant gratification. Whereas perhaps some kind of medication and coupled with therapy would be the proper method of expression. You know, when you take that drink, it helps you to express yourself, but it's like, is that the best way to do it, by poisoning your body? Is it that the best way to do it, by expressing yourself in improper situations or irresponsible ways? You know, it's like it's coming out, but how much of it is poisoning other people? I'm literally, wow, that's my neurodivergence coming out. Okay. Ugh. I'm literally seeing someone's anal. I mean, it's still an animal, but gross. Okay, gross. It's like, how much of that is spilling out into everybody else's stuff and impacting them? Like, if you care about this other person, your family, that relationship, or just the people around you, maybe you're in your workplace, this could be somebody else that you're dealing with, right? That is spilling out into your space and place. I don't know. But someone needs to express themselves in a healthy way. Okay, maybe somebody's uncomfortable with their anus or their anal glands in general, or you just simply aren't pooping. I don't know, but there's a need for somebody to express themselves. All right, you need to express your anal glands, pretty much. Because right now you're in imposter syndrome. You're in imposter syndrome. The sun in the tower. This is fresh, new enlightenment for somebody. Where the tower has been on fire, the Knight of Pentacles, there's a need to take practical action and plan how you're going to get out of this tower. It's like, yeah, you can continue to drink cold water and, like, you know, wipe yourself down with a cool rag, but it's still on fire in the other room. You're going to wind up with an infection. You're going to wind up overheating or whatever. It's like you can't, I mean, I guess you could just spend all of your days under the influence, but is that productive for you? Is that like how you actually want to live, or is it just the easiest, most comfortable band-aid? Like, it's reminding me of the Four of Pentacles, which is imposter syndrome. Okay. We have the Empress here. Yeah, somebody needs to take care of their body. This could be a feminine energy. Doesn't have to be. It is just inherently feminine energy where you focus on self-care, self-love. How can you love yourself in a better way? Because whatever it is that you're doing, like, yeah, okay, you didn't expect to be here, but you are. Like that no matter how much we want to fight against the reality of our circumstances and scenarios, you are here. You know, I didn't expect to say out loud I miss going live, but like, damn, I said it out loud, and it was unconscious, but it is my truth. It is my truth. Me 5-10 years ago would have never believed it. I remember when I first got the intuitive message to start posting on YouTube, I was like, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Post on YouTube. I only bought my first oracle deck to help myself heal because I was going through something. But I'm here now, and no, I didn't expect to be here, but I'm here now with purpose. I'm no longer performing. This is just, it's in my blood, it's in my DNA, and I've accepted where I am. Parts of me still sit in imposter syndrome, I'm sure, in different ways, but there's a realization here that we can't come back from. And it does involve healing. It does involve growth. And it does involve shattering the ego. That Tower and the Sun card, that is shattering the ego. But in shattering the ego, the sun comes out, the rainbow comes out, and we can breathe again. You know, like, I didn't even go into the depth of that example of expressing anal glands, but again, going back to it, it's like, is somebody uncomfortable with talking about poop here? I recently had an experience like that with an individual. Okay, they were super uncomfortable with it. I mean, they wouldn't have said that out loud. They called it disrespectful and immature. I don't know which parts of talking about a natural bodily function is disrespectful or immature. All of our bodies function differently. And if I have a chemical imbalance, what do you want me to do? You know, you can't expect yourself to not talk about it when it's something that you are constantly experiencing. I mean, you can, but it's like that shame is what's keeping you stuck. We have the Four of Wands here. Wow. Damn, and the Empress. So yeah, this could be a marriage, relationship. I mean, there's definitely I heard a get together. Okay, so there could be some kind of celebration. You could be celebrating sobriety. Oh, God, I love that for you. I love that for you. Keep going until you reach the top, no matter the obstacles. I love that for you. Sobriety is such a difficult journey. Yeah, the Nine of Cups is here and the Nine of Pentacles. And there's that Hermit that I kept seeing. You know, life has not been easy, especially when it comes to fun, enjoyment, pleasure. Okay, for somebody here, something was pleasurable. And maybe you had to set a boundary with yourself or with other people. Congratulations if that's you. You know, maybe you can support other people by telling your story, by being transparent about what you experienced and what you experience on the daily. You know, that's again one of the things that I opt to do on this channel. To some degree, you know, it's not solely about my personal life, but as it says in the description box, this is me having the actual lived experience, and having that lived experience and facing that lived experience is a part of why it is my divine path to teach it. Because I have fearlessly, ferociously faced it in many ways. You know, the Empress doesn't get to be the Empress just like by accident. You don't just like wake up and become the Empress. You don't just turn 21 and become the Empress. You don't just turn 65 and become the Empress. You work for that. It's because of the experiences that you've gone through that show you how you are capable of creating life, new life for yourself and for those around you. I heard somebody say, preach. I'm seeing butterflies. Yeah, butterflies are a symbol of transformation. You're transforming. Some of you may have transformed your body by way of transforming your spirit. Okay, the Four of Wands is this Sun? I think it's the Sun. I don't know. It's Aries energy though. It's about spiritual alignment, especially with another person, but more than anything, it's like I've been waiting for this, I've been planning for this, I've been preparing for this, and my energy is aligned to where I've graduated. Okay, congratulations. I'm so excited for those of you who have. Share with me or your fellow YouTubers, you know, in the comments if you're feeling brave enough, or you know, maybe just put a butterfly down in the comments, and that'll let us know that you resonate with something along this storyline, you know, in today's session, because it's significant. Your story is powerful and it deserves to be heard. I'm not sure why there's a V, or I mean it could also be the number 5 as well on that shield. I'm gonna look in the book quickly and see what it says about the Empress. I just got this new deck. We love a new deck. I said it in my last video I was gonna try to hold out and we didn't make it, okay? Don't judge me. The Empress is a yes answer. In numerology, it speaks to creativity and expression. It is earth energy. It's Taurus as well as Libra. The timing is influenced by your surroundings, but again, it's Taurus season, Libra season, so those dates. The card means you can do anything you want and be happy with the results. The upright meaning, nurturing energy supports creativity, abundance, comfort, and emotional growth in both relationships and personal life. Looking down at spirit, it says connect with self-worth and abundance. Connect with self-worth and abundance. Let's get our journal prompt for this powerful message for today. Session 64. Okay, friends, as always, this is just my journal prompt. I'm super interested and intrigued to hear yours. Okay, any thoughts, feelings, or anything you want to add that came up for you during today's session. My journal prompt is, what internal experiences do I need to express that have been hidden by shame? What internal experiences do I need to express that have been hidden by shame? I encourage you, allow guilt to grow you. Shame only grows more shame. Until next time, friends.